Srimad Bhagavatam-Nama Puranam Lokavishrutam. Stands at its zenith in the world of ancient scriptures. Beginning this session, we would enjoy the beautiful verses with their glorious meanings. We will certainly go through enough number of shlokas and both the philosophical and mythological important aspects. Why Bhagavata Purana? Why did it take birth? How was this universe created? That's the topic for us today. The birth of Bhagavata Purana and this universe. It's imperative that I know the purpose of my creation. Any product is produced. The most important is to know the purpose of its production. If not, it will be misused. Similarly, I am created, I am born. There must be a right purpose. If I know that, I would be fulfilling that purpose. If I do not, I would be misusing myself. If I misuse a product that I possess, I can realize my folly, change my course, use it properly. But if I misuse myself, it's too difficult to realize my folly. Once I misuse myself, who will correct me? My products are corrected by me. I am also a product because I am created. But the difference is, other products are mundane, insentient, whereas me, the Jivatma, who is blessed with this body, is sentient. The only object, which is this Jivatma, that is sentient, has the power to realize, to think, to reflect, to meditate, and to correct its course. But we need a guide to our ways. The guide is Veda, Purana, and Itihasa. Who will I accept as my guide? One who is knowledgeable, who is selfless, and my well-wisher. You cannot find a better person than Veda Vyasa who would possess all these three qualities. Vyasa was selfless. He didn't expect anything in reciprocation from us. Vyasa was very knowledgeable, as he is the one who classified all the four Vedas in Dwapara Yuga. And lastly, Vyasa is certainly my well-wisher. He wishes my well-being because he is a God-sent messenger for the well-being of this universe. We all know this verse, Vyasam, Vasishta Naptaram, Shakteh Pautramakalmasham, Parasharatmajam Bande, Shukatatam Taponidhim. This talks about the glorious lineage of Veda Vyasa. Vasishtacharya's son was Shakti. Shakti's uncomparable son was Parashara. Parashara gave birth to Veda Vyasa. Vyasa's son was Shukacharya. When we take the name, in fact, you would only find goosebumps. Everyone has been so selfless, has worked day and night to serve this humanity, to make this human being a better living being. We are not animals. We have limitations. We can't live as we think. When animals can also have limitations, they can also be tamed. Certainly human beings can be. But we can't tame a human being with any weapon. Instead, it is the shloka, upadesha of acharyas like Vedavyasa that puts us in the right path. There are totally 18 Puranas which supplement the study of Vedas. Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabrahmayet Bibhetyalpashrutad Vedaha Mamayam Pratarishyati. This is a shloka from a Purana. It says, you cannot study the Veda as a standalone text. You will not be able to know the right meaning. Instead, first study the Vedas, augment them by a study of Itihasa and Purana. Then you stand to gain. You are clear in your understanding. So without Itihasa Purana, Vedas are not complete. There are two Itihasas, Mahabharata and Sri Ramayana. 18 Puranas. If you see these Puranas, there are 6 Sattika Puranas, 6 Rajasa Purana, and the last 6 Tamasa Purana. The best of the Sattika Puranas are Sri Vishnu Purana and Srimad Bhagavata Purana. Why is Bhagavata Purana held in such an esteem? There is a reason for that. When all other Puranas are made of verses of Sanskrit language, this is also one, but still, Bhagavan Shri Krishna mentions, when I depart this material world, I will physically enter Bhagavata Purana and reside there throughout the Kali Yuga. So this is the significance of Bhagavata Purana and why it is so different from other Puranas. So if you go through the shlokas of Bhagavata, it is as such studying Shri Krishna himself. He is found in this Purana in the form of holy words, in the form of sacred shlokas. Bhagavan is sacred. It's too difficult to go close to him. Instead, we can reach him, get closer to divinity through the shlokas of Srimad Bhagavata Purana. It is so helpful to us because in this Kali Yuga, we are little confused. Options cause confusion. You can say so. We have too many options today. If you have lesser, your confusion is lesser. If you have too many products, then it adds to your confusion. This started when we had too many cars in India. We had only 2. There was no other choices available. We bought one of the 2. Whereas today, all the cars around the world are in India, so nobody knows what to buy and what not to. Similarly, when you have too many options, too many books to study, we are confused. Instead, let us only listen to the great preachings, to the guidances of Acharyas. So Vedavyasa chose to preach, to give the right guidance to all the human beings, Itihasa and Purana. Although the 18 Puranas are sung at different times by different people, it was Vedavyasa who collected them and presented in gist to humanity. So Bhagavata Purana, which is the glorious, which is the crest jewel in the galaxy of Puranas, is nothing else than Sri Krishna himself. Given this introduction, let us now deal with the first chapter of Padma Purana, which talks about the glory of Bhagavata Purana. We are not beginning with the first chapter of Bhagavata Purana. Instead, we will first go through the verses of Padma Purana, which talks about the greatness, the importance of Srimad Bhagavata Purana. Unless one appreciates the importance, we will not devote time to learn the same. So first let us know how this Bhagavata does good to me. This is so good to me. It is so easily available to me. It's accessible. It is too good to me and I benefit out of that. Now coming to the first chapter, Pritihi Shaunaka Chittete Hyato Vachmi Vicharyacha Sarva Siddhanta Nishpannam Samsara Bhayanashanam Yam Prabrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhineduhu Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Muni Manatosmi. This is the first invocatory verse on Sri Shukacharya. Shuka was the son of Vedavyasa, but he was more enlightened. He was more detached than his father himself. There goes a story. Vedavyasa and Shuka were going past a pond on a day. There were many girls, youth, who were taking bath in that pond. They did not wear all clothes. When Vyasa passed, they went, rushed, grabbed their clothes and hid themselves. When after Vedavyasa, Shukacharya passed the same way. No girl was bothered. She didn't rush to grab her clothes. Both of them left. After a while, Vyasa thought, I am too old, whereas these girls did not bother about Shukacharya who was too young. They didn't want to hide themselves when Shuka passed, whereas they had wanted to when me, a senior citizen, passed by them. Why will it be? He returned. Shuka never returned. Vedavyasa returned. And he was so inquisitive, he questioned the girls, why did you behave so? The girls replied, because you were the one who took notice of our action, returned, questioned us. Your son never noticed us when we were naked. He did not notice that we didn't grab our clothes. He never wanted to return and ask the reason for our action because he turned a blind eye towards us. He never bothered who we were. He never discriminated between a tree, a human being, and in human beings between a male and a female. That's the reason why he is held as the most detached. Shukacharya left his home. He left his father. He went to the jungle in pursuit of Brahman. Although his father was a detached soul, he could not bear separation from Shukacharya. So he calls for him. This shloka talks about calling sage Vedavyasa who wanted to get back his son to his home. But Shukacharya never turned back to him. Shloka says, Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayanaha virahakatara ajuhava. Viraha, the pranks of separation. He could not bear the separation from Shuka. Ajuhava. So sage Vedavyasa called him. Putreti tanmayataya. Hey putra, oh my son, why don't you return? He didn't answer. Instead, to the surprise of Vedavyasa, a tree answered, Oh father, are you calling me? A lion answered, Oh Vedavyasa, are you calling me? The reason is, Shukacharya never discriminated between a tree, himself, and a lion. He treated all to be the part and parcel of that Parabrahma. Putreti tanmayataya taravo bineduhu tam sarvabhuta hridayam muni manatosmi. Let me offer my salutations to that glorious Muni, Shukacharya. Shuka is kili, a parrot. If a parrot has tasted a mango or a fruit, it seems the fruit would become tastier. So here Shukacharya has tasted the fruit of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is tastier than when Vedavyasa preached Bhagavata Purana. Putreti tanmayataya tam sarvabhuta hridayam muni manatosmi. Now the place of action is Naimisharanya. We have to move ourselves to Naimisharanya, the sacred city, the holy Divyadesham sung by Tirumangiyalvar himself. There are totally 8 kshetras which are known as Swayam Vyakta Kshetra. In these 8 holy sites, Bhagavan has evolved himself. He was not made by any sculptor. He was not created. It's all Swayam Vyakta Kshetra. I hope you will be knowing all the 8. The first is the southernmost Totadri, Vanamamalai, Deivanayaka Peruma. Then the next, Sriranga, Sri Ranganatha. Then the next, Sri Mushnam, Varaha Bhagavan. Then the northern boundary of Tamil Nadu, is Thiruvengadam, Tirumalai Venkateswara Perumal. These are the four in South India. Then come to north. The northernmost, both are in Himalayas. One is Muktinath Salagram, which is to the east of India. The other is to the west of Himalayas, which is Badrinath, Badri Vishal. Then come a little south of these two. In the footsteps of Himalayas, you would find to the west Pushkara Kshetra, where Bhagavan resides in the form of Tirtha, pure water. Then to the east of Uttar Pradesh, Naimisharanya, where he is in the form of trees and forest. So these are the 8 Swayamvyakta Kshetras. One important of this is Naimisharanya, Naimishe, Animisha Kshetre. There is a satsang happening in Naimisharanya. Suta Pauranika, the son of Romaharshana, is seated in the Acharya seat. Other rishis are squatting around him, Shaunaka and other co-rishis. Shaunaka and other rishis question Suta Pauranika as to the way of life in Kali Yuga. Shaunaka replies. So the communication, the conveyance of Srimad Bhagavata Puranam was between Suta Pauranika and Shaunaka. And this conveyance is a story which is embedded between the communication, the conversation between Shukacharya and Parikshit. So this is a story in a story. This is a communication, a conversation within another conversation. As you all know, one conversation was Mahabharata, which was between Vaishampayana and Janamejaya. In Mahabharata, there are many conversations. One is between Arjuna and Krishna, which finally became Bhagavad Gita. Another between Bhishmacharya and Yudhishthira, which became Sahasranama. So there are many conversations within the macro conversation of Vaishampayana and Janamejaya. Similarly, in this case, first Vedavyasa recited, he authored. Then Shukacharya communicated to Parikshit Maharaja. Then within that, we are talking about Suta Pauranika and Shaunaka. Always, it seems, great epics or great works are born when great noble souls communicate. When they talk between each other, that comes Pritihi Shaunaka Chittete Hyato Vachmi Vicharyacha Ajnana Dhvantva Vidvamsa Koti Surya Samabrava Bhakti Jnana Viragaptaha Viveko Vardhate Mahan Maya Moha Nirasascha Vaishnavehi Kriyate Katham. This was the question raised by Shaunaka to Suta Pauranika. Now, who was Suta Pauranika? He was the son of Romaharshana. Who was Romaharshana? One who listened to the preaching of Shukacharya along with Parikshit. Parikshit was the direct disciple. He was the one who was confused and wanted Shukacharya to guide him in the right way. But Romaharshana requested Shukacharya to be seated by the side of Parikshit so that he could also study this glorious verse. Fortunately, Shukacharya accepted. So he got the bounty of Bhagavatam. Now, being the son of Romaharshana, Suta Pauranika already inherited the treasure of Bhagavata Purana. And there goes the story. Romaharshana was once preaching this Bhagavata Purana. Balarama entered the scene. Unfortunately, being absorbed in the glory of Bhagavata Purana, Balarama went unnoticed. He got wild. He immediately wielded its weapon and beheaded Romaharshana. All the listeners immediately caught hold of Balarama. We had one Upanyasaka, you killed him. Now where will we go to listen anymore? Immediately Balarama realized his mistake. He blessed, let the son of Romaharshana be blessed with all the greatness of his father. He would become a Pauranika. He would preach you henceforth. Thus, by the blessing of Balarama, Suta Pauranika became a great orator. And he started communicating this Purana to whoever were in need, whoever were in pursuit. Shaunaka questions Suta Pauranika, Bhakti, Jnana, Viragaptaha, Viveko Vardhate Mahan, Maya Moha Nirasascha, Vaishnavaihi Kriyate Katham. It seems this Kali Yuga is too deadly. I would like to improve, develop my Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya. The more I try to do it, I get a feeling that I am getting drowned more into this samsara. We also get such a feeling. The more we want to develop in bhakti, somehow we are being pulled and pushed back and forth by this samsara. Iha ghore kalau prayaha jivascha asuratam gataha. In this deadly Kali Yuga, human being turned to be asuras and rakshasas. Kleshakrantasya tasyaiva shodhane kim parayanam. When my fundamental is not strong, when my realization on Sanatana Dharma is not right, there is no point in building Dharma about that. First, the foundation has to be strong. Then, the building would stand erect. You can do all your interior decoration, what not you want. But you cannot spend if the foundation is not strong. So, can you strengthen my foundation? This was the question of Shaunaka Bhagavan. Chintamanir loka sukham suradruhu swarga sadhanam priti Shaunaka chittete. Now, having questioned, he kept quiet. Then Suta Pauranika started talking to Shaunaka. Yes, this is a good question. When I reply to this question, not only you, but in the coming years, this entire universe would be benefited by the